Hello, welcome. We are on our last week of the launch, some business mentoring. Over the last 5 weeks, we've gone over our acronym PIPES: prepare, invite, present, enroll, support. And with all of that, I think it's most necessary to finish off with some placement strategy. This is something that I teach somewhat regularly to my entire team, but it's so important even as you're beginning in your business to understand what you'll do when you enroll a wholesale customer or a wellness advocate. And so I want to give you some basics towards that placement strategy today. But first, I just want to help you understand why it matters. Sometimes, and most often actually, we get into doTERRA because we want to help people. And that's the best kind of thing. I always say there's three things that will ensure that you can do this business well. And the first thing is loving your oils, which I'm sure you do. But the second is loving people and wanting them to be well. And the third is following a system and getting things done. And so sometimes we get into doTERRA as a business and we're really focused on the people, as we should be. And this part, this business end, feels kind of clunky and confusing, complicated, whatever the words are. And so we just kind of just place people within our organization, or we don't, and we don't realize how detrimental that's going to be to our business long term. And we can go in with the intention to help people, but I promise you, your focus won't be able to stay on your business, and you definitely won't have growing focus towards your business if at some point you don't start making money, and hopefully some significant money in doTERRA, so you can impact your life and the lives of people around you. That's what doTERRA has given me, and grateful for the learning that I've done in the world of placement strategy. Now, there are some people that just have this higher in their skill level. They just are naturally born strategic type people. They think strategy all the time in every area of their life. When they're planning their grocery list, they're thinking how they can get things for the best deal and how they lay their grocery out in the order of the grocery store. And those are people that are very strategic. There are some people that have that's not even a bone in their body. And I can promise you, you can do doTERRA without a strategic bone in your body, but it will 100% require you to keep learning and to ask for help and guidance, suggestions, reaching out to people that do have this in their strength and say, what do you see here with my organization? Where do you think I should place this customer? So let me show you why I think placements really matter. Here's kind of a visual look at it. Sorry, but before we get to that, I want you to understand, before I get into ranks, especially if you're newer to doTERRA, I want you to understand what it all means. There's a lot of lingo and verbiage in the world of doTERRA. So you are familiar with volume. I'm sure every product has volume, and that volume adds up into an organizational volume as your customers order on a monthly basis. And so I want you to see what the minimum volume is needed to achieve some of the most common ranks in doTERRA. And then I put some lower ranks on there too. So what you might not realize when you first get started is that all of these big ranks that you hear about, diamond, blue diamond, presidential diamond, really all of ranks are the basis of them. Every rank is built off of elites and premier. And elite is very, very simple. It's 3,000 in volume, 3,000 organizational volume. So about $3,000 sold within your organization, including your order, within a month's time. And then obviously at the beginning of the next month, we start over, right? That's why that LRP, that loyalty rewards program piece that we talked about last week, is so important, because it guarantees you a little bit of that residual into the next month. So you're not technically starting over at zero. You've got all of your scheduled LRPs and then whatever else you're able to bring in. So elite is 3,000. If we back up one level, we see executive is 2,000. So those ranks are very, very simple. There's no placement structure required for you to be either of those ranks. 2,000 in volume for executive, 3,000 for elite. And then we get into these larger ranks like premier and silver and gold. And do you see what is required for you to be those ranks? There's a volume requirement. You can see that at least 5,000 volume, but you have to have 2 executives. So 2 wellness advocates that you've personally enrolled who have 2,000 in volume below them, with a total volume of 5,000 for premier. Silver, very simple, 3 wellness advocates that you have the enrollership for that are at elite or each have 3,000 in volume. Gold is 3 premiers. Diamond is 4 silvers. So that looks like, well, that doesn't look like executive and elite, does it? But what makes a silver is elite. So you can see even at blue diamond, which I don't have on the screen, requires 5 golds, and golds have premiers, and premiers have executives. So you can see at the foundation of blue and diamond and gold and silver is all these elites and executives. So that's really the rank you need to understand. Is elite and premier. The reason I think premier is really the top most important rank to understand is because it's the first rank that requires structure in your organization. And that's what this call is about, right? We're talking about placement strategy, structure within your organization. So let me show you what premier looks like. Well, first, okay. Apparently I'm not super familiar with the order of my slides here. First, I want you to think back to the beginning. Maybe you're in the beginning, that's okay. But all of our organizations start the same. We are the little purple people right at the very top of our organization. And we go out, we send out samples or however you're beginning to launch your business, hopefully within the pipes ideas, right, that we've shared over the last few weeks, but you would start enrolling your first few customers. You can see the first 2 wholesale customers, then you had someone order retail, and then you had 5 more customers you enrolled, and then someone ordered retail, and then another customer, retail customer. You see that? That's what the greens are there. This is what it almost always starts like, because if you were like me at the beginning of your business, you were very slow to talk about doTERRA as a business because you didn't know much about it. And it was really hard to get people excited about something you were just beginning yourself. And you can see this feels really exciting, but this is volume all across the bar, and you will never be able to be premier with customers placed that way because premier, remember, requires 2 executive legs coming down off the top. So you could get to elite like this, but it will take you a while to get to premier until you put 2 people as wellness advocates on that front line. And then remember, none of that volume counts in those legs because they're not underneath those advocates. So it can count towards your 5,000 total volume, but those 2 executive legs of 2,000, you'll have to put new customers underneath that. So this is actually not a bad structure, especially if 2 people within this front line would upgrade and be interested in the business. Anybody else then from there on out could be placed underneath those wellness advocates. But lots of times it doesn't stop there. We still keep enrolling and enrolling and enrolling. And I personally had 34 people on my front line early on in my business. I've actually seen more than 30 within my with wellness advocates within my organization. I would say the really good range would be 4 to 8 people on your front line. And then by then you should be able to start building down. So this is the beginning, right? So I would encourage you to start with a builder. I mean, easier said than done, of course, right? But this has to be a part of our thinking when we get started, especially if we want to move to a long-term residual, sustainable business and income in doTERRA. What you may have not heard of before, if you're newer, is a placeholder. And doTERRA does allow you to have someone within your organization upgrade their account, hold a position in your organization until you can fill it with someone who's actually ready to be active in the business. Normally, we recommend that that placeholder doesn't exist there in that spot for longer than 6 months. So you've kind of got a 6-month window to find someone. And I think that's totally doable. There are ways to switch people out from that placeholder position. You've got an account swap and an account transfer. And those are things I can't teach you today, but can if you need that support going forward. But those are conversations that you want to have with your most supportive upline there as you get moving. So here's an example of premier. So you can see that pink person at the top, that represents a premier rank. And you can see my little arrows pointing to the 2 executives. So the pink premier has the enrollership. They have personally enrolled those 2 green executives on their front line, and you can see the volume is all below there. So that's actually a really, really clean structure. It doesn't typically look like that. That is someone who knows placement strategy from the beginning. This is like a gorgeous, ideal setup. The volume on this team is 5,300. So that is a premier. 5,300. Cool, right? I want to show you another premier organization. I know it's a little bit blurry, but this is also a premier in doTERRA. So this is why placements actually do matter, because you can have a team as small as you see here, and you can be earning similar pay to the person here as far as rank bonuses. So as a premier, you get an empowerment bonus from doTERRA. That's about $200 every month that you hit premier, and you have a personal enrollment of 100 PV or more. And so these people are getting that same bonus, $200 here, $200 here. Now, what you'll notice is there's more people in this organization, and you're paid unilevel, a percentage on every level, every order in your entire organization. So this person's check is larger for sure. But wouldn't it be exciting to be premier at this point in your business rather than premier at this point in your business? So this is actually 15,000 in volume for this organization. So how does that happen, right? Well, lots of ways. It's possible that maybe this pink premier doesn't actually own the enrollership to one of those people on the top legs. Maybe they actually own the enrollership of someone on their 4th or 5th level. You see that dark green right in the middle of the screen. Maybe the premier has enrolled that person, and that person's leg just hit executive, and then they have the other leg, and that's why they're premier. Maybe that person on the top of their line was placed there by an upline. I don't know. And they don't have that enrollership. So we're not going to talk much about enrollership versus sponsorship today. What I just wanted you to see was the difference and how placements can make a difference when you're putting customers in your organization. So before we go further, you're going to want to write this down. It's a website called help.doterra.com. It's really phenomenal. It has all of doTERRA's policies and everything you need to know about building the business all in one place. And so I honestly even reference it occasionally because I want to double check that I'm right. So help.doterra.com, and then you can see all of the information bar on the left. You've got account information, loyalty rewards program, shipping and returns. Let's say you have a question from a customer, can I return this product? They would answer that for you. Ordering and billing, if you have any questions on commissions, or if you want to get the direct deposit form that I've linked out to you guys before, it's all under commissions. Then you've got promotions and incentives and events, and then you see placements. All of the information that we're talking about today is coming from doTERRA's policies. This is nothing that I've made up. This is all doTERRA. And so you can find all of it under placements. There's also a doTERRA resources tab and videos and all things you can find on that website. So sometimes we get into a little bit of a mess with our teams, and it's really, really easy to blame because we didn't know, right? And likely the person who enrolled you or your upline knew per se, because they've been in doTERRA longer, and we don't always transfer information well. So I'll be honest, it's very, very easy to say they're the reason that my organization looks like this, but I want you to take 100% responsibility for your organization, because some of us, myself included, didn't start with an active upline involved in our organization, and we had to just figure it out. That's why I had 34 people on my front line, because nobody told me to find a builder early in my business so I could place under them or put a placeholder there until I could replace it. And so I had to learn this principle, learn from my mistakes and don't repeat them. And so that's part of why I want to teach you guys this even early on in your business. Number one, I don't want you to feel like there was information that wasn't told to you early on, but also you'll have to take responsibility for your organization. And once you do, it'll make all the difference. So I want to give you 4 mistakes that people make when placing people. These are probably known by you, hopefully. If not, you can find them within the daily mentor calls, dailymentorcalls.com, call number 43 and 44. Go through all of these. I'm just going to touch on them briefly, and we can dive into more of this in the question and answer time if you'd like to. But the first mistake that people make is putting product users and sharers on your front line. So we've already touched this time a little bit briefly. Why do you think this happens? Because when you're first starting out in the business, you're enrolling product users. Typically, the first people that are invited to your classes are your closest friends and family. And oftentimes they don't have an interest in doing the business with you. They're just there to support you as a customer. And so we enroll them and they just naturally end up on our front line because we don't have a different place to put them. You won't want them there long term. I can promise you. People that are just casually sharing as with people as it comes up, those are difficult people to work with when you want to move forward in the business and they're like, I never agreed to this. So putting product users and shares on your front line is a mistake. Placing family who aren't capable and committed on your front line would also be a mistake. Now, this is coming from me, who has my mom on my front line in my doTERRA organization. So hear me when I say this, there is a time and there is a place to put your family on your front line when they're capable and committed. But I will tell you, it was very lucky for me. I didn't know if my mom was capable or committed when she went on my front line. That's just where she went. It just turns out that she is. She's ranked all the way to gold in doTERRA. And I'm so grateful for that. But it has made our life challenging in certain places because we've had to set very clear boundaries where we only talk about business during certain times and the rest is family time. Like there used to be a period where I would only call her when I wanted to talk with her about the business and that hurt her. And so we had to go back and forth and make sure that we were taking care of each other. It's also very challenging at the end of the month to have your mom be the person you're calling and saying, we need to find about $500 worth of volume in your team. How do we get there? Like I typically really love to set goals with my mom and hold her accountable to them, right? So those are just things to consider. Maybe you and your family have that type of relationship and it would work, then it can work. But just something to consider. The third is not clustering by location, and the fourth, not placing by relationships. These two kind of go hand in hand because sometimes they're the same. Maybe they live in the same location and they have the same relationship. When you do start developing your leaders that you're working with and you enroll wholesale customers, you'll be looking for where you want to place them. And if you have someone who's doing the business down in Arizona and someone who's doing the business in Sioux Falls, in South Dakota, and you enroll someone in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, you're probably not going to put them on your Arizona team because there would never be an opportunity for that Arizona team to invite them to anything that they're participating in outside of online. And so we do lots of in-person and local events. Typically, everybody has those types of things in their area. And so there is a level of time freedom that comes from placements. So we can have financial freedom as our teams grow, but we can have time freedom if we do it correctly. And so if we're the primary source of all the education for every single person we enroll all throughout our organization, that will not create any time freedom for you. If you can put them in places where they can be invited to other people's events and you can kind of have leaders that take them under their wings, that totally changes everything. So placing by location and relationship is really, really important. I have people that get themselves in a little bit of a pickle because they get to the end of the month and they're a few hundred volume short in one leg for a rank, and they enroll a referral from someone over here in this leg, and they call me and they say, I can put this person over here, right? And I'm always like, will you be happy about that decision in 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years from now? I know it feels good right now, but will you be happy about that if this person ends up doing the business someday and her sister's over here? Because it's really challenging to move customers typically, especially if they get on the loyalty rewards program or if they upgrade and enroll anyone. There's very few things we can do to actually move them back where they should have been originally. And so don't get yourself in that situation. Commit to building your organization long-term. So here's your ideal team structure. I want to just go through these words quickly with you so that you can process them within your own organization. Hopefully you've heard these words before, but there's three there. You're going to have more than 3 levels in your organization, but in your first 3 levels, this is what it should look like. Level 1, your front line, we call that prime real estate. You should only have committed and capable builders. So not wholesale customers, not product users, just people who are interested in the business, pursuing the business. They're committed to the business, but they're also capable. So here's what committed looks like. Committed means that they show up when they say they're going to show up. They do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. Capable means that they can do it on their own. They don't need a whole lot of help. They're the people that go in and figure out how to enroll someone without even asking you. They're capable. Oftentimes, people who are capable are not committed, and those who are committed are not capable. It's a very rare and beautiful thing when you find someone that can be both. I'm sure you are. There are people there. I have been. I'm capable and committed. I've enrolled many, many people on my own without the help of any of my enrollers or my downline or anybody. And I'm committed. I show up every single week and I do the things that I say I'm going to do. So I deserve to be on someone's front line, right? And I am on my upline's front line. Level 2, those people are committed or capable. So maybe they show up to all the things. They do what they say they're going to do, but they need a lot of handholding to finally get someone sampled into a class and enrolled. Those are amazing people, because I love people that do what they say they're going to do. They show up to all your team calls. They're at every class that you teach. They're amazing, but they're going to require more work, and you want them lower in your organization. Or you've got someone who's capable but not committed. Maybe they can enroll people all day long. Like, it seems like every time they turn around, they have someone new to enroll, but they don't come to your team calls. They don't show up to your education. They don't plug their people into the oil camps or the resources. And you kind of find yourself like wondering, will they show up today? Like, they can enroll 10 people this month, but then next month they're interested in something else, and here they seem to be gone. So valuable people, but not for your first level. They are great level 2 people. And then level 3 is for your customers and shares. That's where your wholesale customers go. Don't put them on your front line or your second level and expect them to do the business when they have never really committed to that. Shares are people that when they enroll someone, you go, oh, wow, they enrolled someone, when it's a surprise, because they're just doing it at their leisure as conversations come up. They're not out actively sharing samples and trying to move their business forward. And putting them in positions in your organization where they can't do that, what they want to do, makes for really uncomfortable conversations and situations. And a lot of times people get burned out and end up leaving because it was never what they agreed to. So this is the best way to keep relationships healthy, to keep your business structure healthy. And so it's something that you want to be thinking every time you enroll someone. Is this a committed and capable builder, or a committed or capable builder, or is this a customer and share? And so that's why it's so important to be talking about the business at the beginning of your business, so that you have levels and places where you can actually place people. Okay, here's my plea to you to ask for help. It makes my skin crawl. It's a pretty intense way to say it, but it makes me very uneasy when I look in my back office. I see people that have been newly enrolled and they already have a sponsor, meaning someone has already decided where they should be placed. doTERRA has given us every single moment to think about it, to test them, to watch our customers before we have to place them. We don't have to move enrollments until the 10th. And the great thing now is that it's always the 10th. And so I want you to go into your calendar and put an alert in, like I have for the 10th of the month. There's no reason to move anyone before the 10th, because you always get till the 10th. That never changes. And so you don't know what's going to happen. If you enroll someone today, it's the very beginning of September. You're not going to place them till October 10th. That's an entire month. What's going to happen when they go through oil camp at the end of this month, and then they get on some new product education at the beginning of October, and they go, wow, this is a really cool business model. I never really understood what this was. Like, I'm ready to do the business. And you put them on your 3rd or 4th level. Like, why would you do that? There's so much time to watch customers, and you can test them. You can have fun with them. If you think they have potential for the business, give them little tasks to do, like put together an oil keychain and sample someone this week, or have them ask if they can bring a friend to your next class, or give them a couple of videos to watch and see if they do it, get it done. Like, it can be simple things that you're actually asking them to do in regards to the essential oils, but just the fact of them getting it done, proving their committedness and their capability, can really help you see long-term what potential they have. The other part of it is you want to know if they're going to get on the loyalty rewards program, because that is a really key reason to place people in specific places in your organization. organization, and you aren't going to know the day they enroll. Typically, sometimes you do, not very often, if they're going to get on the rewards program, because they got to get their oils first, right? They got to fall in love with what they ordered. And so anyway, I cannot stress enough, there's no reason to place people early, because now you can set an alarm. You can never forget. You move all your enrollments on the 10th or the 9th. I mean, you don't have to wait till the 10th, but give yourself as long as possible to watch your customers and see where they land in those levels. All right, that's it. Week 6, we're all done. I'm so thrilled you guys joined me for all 6 weeks. I hope they were helpful. We still have really only touched the surface. There's so much for me to continue to teach you and for you to learn, but I will tell you what we've learned over this 6 weeks. If you learned nothing else, again, you would be able to build your business, because we've taught the basic, most income producing, stable activities that you can be doing over time. Commit to it, be capable, and don't give up. Just keep doing it over and over and over until you see the results that you want. So here's your assignment. If you haven't already, listen to Daily Mentor Calls 43 and 44. That's the review of the best placement strategies. If you want to go on to call number 45, because it applies to you, you could. Call 45 is how to fix placement problems. That may be interesting to you. And then I would love for you to go through your organization so you know where your CCs, your Cs, and your sharers are. So they might not be in the levels that we talked about. They might be different in different places. So it's important for you to know, so you can work to seek change within your organization. If you go through and every single person on your front line is a product user, then there are ways to start getting them moved and changed so that you can have a more sound structure. You want CCs on the top, Cs on the second, shares and wholesale customers down below. And then, like I said earlier, set an ongoing reminder in your phone for the 10th of the month placement moves. There's no reason to not have that in your phone, have it going off, a second and third and fourth reminder within that day, because sometimes we click it because we're in the middle of something and then we forget. I think it's okay for a 9 p.m. 10th of the month placement move reminder, but give your customers a chance to prove themselves to you so you know where to best place them. And then place your enrollments. If you enrolled somebody in the month previous, place them by the 10th of this month so that you can have them in the best structure. And then here's your challenge. I would love for you to meet with your most supportive upline mentor to discuss your team structure and set a plan for your future enrollments. I know exactly where I'm going to place someone if I enroll them today. Now, give or take a relationship or a location, but I have a plan, and I know where I'm going. And so you should too. You should know what your goals are and where you're going, and set a plan for maybe fixing some mistakes that you maybe have made early on. So I hope that's helpful. That's it. I'm so thankful for you, and I'm glad that you got to be here and learn from me. We'll talk soon.